So I had cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma, when I was 19 to 21, 2002 to 3 or 4, and in college. Before starting chemo and radiation, my oncologist said I should bank some sperm if I'd like to have kids one day. So, 4 deposits later, I've had sperm stored for the last 16 to 17 years. My parents and I agreed to keep having the bills and things sent to their home address because it's constant and mine has changed a few times. Fast forward to now. My wife and I have been trying to conceive for months, and it's obvious my guys still aren't swimming well. I've been tested in the past, but the quality of my sperm isn't the issue here anyway. We started working with a fertility doc at the same place my sperm has been stored. We've paid big money all out of pocket to begin, and it's non-refundable. It's time to do IVF, or whatever it's called soon, and the clinic calls and says my sperm was discarded last April, 2020, because I signed a form to do so. I said no I didn't, and send me said form. I get it, and clear as day they're right, but it was signed by my father, distinct handwriting, and notarized by my uncle, who is a CFO, and I doubt fraud charges would be good for his career. I'm insanely furious, and have not told my dad or asked my mom if she knows about it. Only thing I've done is text a doc pic to my uncle and asked what the hell. Confirmed he did notarize and sign, which was obvious, and doesn't recall circumstances. Left it there because he was also my best friend for my entire life. What do you guys think I can do, should do? I am in Indiana. Side note, if it matters. My parents are pretty darn wealthy. Liquid assets along with homes, land, stocks, vehicles, toys, etc. I feel weird saying that because I grew up that way, but we aren't flashy people. Net worth definitely in 8 figures, lower end, but as you can see, family is tight-lipped on stuff. Also, uncle is not as wealthy as parents, but definitely well off. He's also CFO of a nice-sized, well-known local company. Last thing of note, the fertility clinic is obviously aware of this now, and could, have not, but alerted me to possibility, refused to keep working with us in fear of lawsuit involving them. Last thing. I'd love to get insight on my options, if, and big if I went legal route. But I'll definitely want to get our money back we've spent because my wife and I aren't rich. We're middle-class working folks. We've spent about half of our savings or more on this. Most of all, I want to know why he paid the bill for so many years. We've even had family jokes about this, and now doesn't see me fit to be a father. This has been hurting my soul, and I need to tell my wife. But I'm scared it may break her from me, divorce, and at minimum her hate my family. So I appreciate anyone who takes the time to read over my scenario. Love to you ahead of time. I'm in pain but have to act soon as I found out about 2 weeks ago and been in shock. Your father and uncle conspired to commit a crime against you. On the very off chance your uncle wasn't aware of what he was notarizing, he committed a felony-level honest mistake. I don't think there is a chance you can be compensated without getting your uncle in severe trouble. Possibly more trouble than your father. In any case, lawyer ASAP, as there's no doubt you are entitled to compensation here. To be clear, you're saying that your father signed the paperwork in your name, and your uncle notarized the signature. What? Frankly, the absolute doc. I'd be livid. You're clearly livid. Your wife has every reason to be livid on your behalf as well. Notary fraud is a felony. When you report this, there's a good chance that your uncle goes away for at least a year. He'll never be eligible to be a notary again, and it's fairly likely it'll have other consequences if the investigation turns out that this isn't the first time he decided to take leave of his good sense. Your father has caused a large personal loss for you, and you should talk to a litigation attorney about seeking compensation. It's hard to put a dollar value on a stored sperm sample, but the loss of your ability to have children is not worthless, nor is the investment you've put into preserving that sample. Do not speak to either of them until you've talked to an attorney. Do talk to your wife after you've spoken to a lawyer, but ask her to let you run the response. She deserves to know, and she deserves to know that you're taking appropriate steps. So, about 2 years ago when I was 15, my grandma helped me set up a stock account under her name because I was interested in stocks. I deposited more money into the account over the years, totaling about $700. I've been messing with penny stocks the entire time, and while I had some bad losses, I've made a very good profit. I'm not going to specify, but the account is worth several tens of thousands now. Last week I was visiting my grandma, and she asked me how the stock account was going. I didn't visit her very often, and she's never asked before, and she was shocked when I told her how much I made. She suddenly told me that it was in her name, it was her account, and it was her money. I was super confused, but we got into an argument and I ended up leaving. I've talked to my parents, and they talked to her about it, and apparently they got into an argument too. She is insisting that the money is hers. The account is under her name, but I put all of the money in it, and did all the trades under the impression that she was letting me use an account under her name. Then we'd changed the account to my name when I turned 18. I am now 17, turning 18 in 7 months. Yesterday I got an email that the bank account was changed, and I checked, and all the money was gone. I don't know how she got it, because she didn't know the password. I'm guessing she contacted support or something. What are my options? My grandmother has basically stolen what I was planning on using for college. Can I even do anything? You need to get an attorney and pursue an actual civil lawsuit against her. It is a matter of proof as to who deposited the money and made the purchases of the specific stocks. There may be a presumption that those were owned by her, but that is not dispositive. Equitable trust, as one commenter pointed out, is a likely legal recourse, or possibly an implied in fact contract, which she breached. If the amount of money that she stole from you is really in the tens of thousands arena, you need to get an attorney involved who can file a big boy civil suit on your behalf. Definitely not small claims here. Tracing when and where the deposits came from should provide a clear factual basis for your claim that you made the deposits in the account, and also purchased the stocks yourself on your behalf. This is not a closed-door sort of thing. Okay, hear me out. For as long as I can remember in my family, almost any time I got up from the seat, someone would take it to either be funny or claim it as if no one was using it. And as a teenager, it literally got to the point I bought my own folding chair so I could pick it up and carry it with me. If I left it where it was, someone would take it, then get mad when I wanted it back. As an example, on a holiday last year, I got up from my chair for a moment to help with something, and came back to find a kid in it. And then the family berating me for wanting them to move. But I tell them that when a man owns and brings his own chair, they expect to be able to use it. I own a very nice folding chair that's comfortable and easily portable, and I pretty much bring it to any family events because people are always scrambling for chairs. Well, the other day I went to a birthday party for my nephew, and like always, I brought my own chair. But at some point I had to use the bathroom. When I came back, my chair was gone, and everyone acted like they didn't know where it was. I said they had 1 minute to return it or I was leaving. They laughed at first, but then realized I was serious as I started going for the door. Everybody told me to just calm down and it was just a joke. I said, I don't care if they think I'm a stick in the mud. I wouldn't be bringing my own chair all the time if other people weren't always taking my seat when I get up. I don't think it's funny. I never did. My brother-in-law then pulled the chair out of where he'd hidden it, and when I got it back, one of the legs was bent. I said it was not like this before, and how could he possibly have done this to a metal chair? He said he could fix it and tried to unbend it, but only made it worse. The chair is pretty much unusable now, because the leg is warped, and I don't want to risk putting weight on it. I told my brother-in-law he owes me $50 for the chair, because that's what I paid for it new 2 years ago. He got mad, and kept saying it was just a stupid chair. I said it was my stupid chair, and this wouldn't have happened if he wasn't so immature that he and everyone else had to mess with me for years about where I sit. Then I took my now messed up chair and walked out. My family has been blowing my phone up saying that it's just a chair and to let it go, but I still want my brother to pay me back for it. Am I the a-hole? Update. Last night, I sent a mass text out to my family that I will not be going to any family function no matter how important it is, until they make this right by promising not to screw with me anymore, and repay me for the chair. They've mostly gone quiet now, but I can wait. I've got all the time in the world for them to realize I'm serious. They pick on you for years, constantly conspire as a group to prevent you from sitting, hide and break your property, and insult and gaslight you when you attempt to set the smallest boundary. Am I missing anything? I would suggest not attending these get-togethers anymore. They can play musical chairs without you. Seriously, what do you actually get out of going to these things that is worth putting up with the attitude? Not the a-hole. Definitely not the a-hole. What your brother did is rude, and he ruined your chair, that you have to bring because of how inconsiderate and rude everyone is all the time. I'd see these people as little as possible. Update. Well, things escalated a lot after I made that post, because I linked it to my parents and other family members after a little while. They were furious with me at first. Some even mocked me, saying things like, "Oh, watch what you say or do around OP. He might just post about it." But when they actually read the comments on my post when I made them, they became mortified. My brother-in-law did agree to pay for a new chair and gave me the money I asked for. I bought a better folding chair than my last one and resumed going to family functions. But whenever I was there was this air about some of the family members. They looked at me like I'd sucked all the fun out of the room. My parents had stopped thinking the chair thing was funny, and even scolded a kid for taking my seat when I got up to use the bathroom. The only problem is that this kid was my nephew, and he started crying when they made him get up. My brother-in-law came to the boy's rescue, and my nephew ended up blurting out that his daddy told him he could do it. When I was out of the bathroom, there was a big fight about it going on. Several family members, including my sister and brother-in-law, were all yelling that it was just a damn chair, and I shouldn't be so butthurt about it. My parents demanded to know why they were so butthurt about not being allowed to screw with me anymore. Like, what was their motives after doing it for so long? It made no sense and wasn't funny anymore. And that's when I intervened. I told them none of this crap would have ever happened if they hadn't been so intent on messing with me when there really was no point to it. And I only started bringing my own chair because I could never find a stable place to sit. And if they still thought they were right about the situation, then they were just mean, plain and simple. And what kind of example is that to be setting for their son? My brother-in-law raged, grabbed my new chair and hurled it through the living room bay window. There was a bit of a pause before he realized what he'd just done. Then he took off in his car and left my sister and nephew there. My parents got my sister to call him, and over the phone they threatened to go to the police if he didn't pay for the damages. Brother-in-law yelled a few F-bombs until my sister took the phone back, and she said that he can either make things right or she'll divorce him. Well, that did the trick, because he came back looking like a kicked puppy with his head hanging low. He apologized to me and my parents without even looking at us, said he'd pay for the new bay window and left again. My sister said he drank himself to sleep that night. The new chair was just fine. It took being hurled through a bay window like a champ. There was hardly a scratch on it. My brother hired a window company to come and replace the window, and they had to measure and order a new one before it could be installed. And until then, the window had to be covered with plywood. It took some time, but they got the new bay window, and it's better than the old one. Though I imagine it was extra expensive because it's a bay window. The family was still divided about this situation for a while. Mainly brother-in-law's parents, my uncle, and a couple cousins. They blamed me and called me obnoxious over insisting on bringing my own chair and refusing to let anyone else use it. So I compromised. I said that if I had a good designated seat that no one will try to take away, I'll leave my chair in my car. It took 2 more family barbecues before they finally agreed to this. Since then, I've left the chair in my car unless there really wasn't enough seating. And that's only happened once since. The problem is, though, that even though they stopped screwing with me, they were still screwing with each other until things went too far. They still like to take each other's seats. But I guess others were following my example, because they put their feet down and demanded it stop. It's been going on for decades, and they've had enough. Brother-in-law stayed out of the fight entirely and hasn't caused any more trouble. But for several family functions, a number of people didn't bother to show up. My mother was broken up about it because she loves hosting parties. It took months, but everything more or less normalized again. But without the chair thing going on, some have resorted to other stupid pranks, like a little device you hook to a chair that makes farts. They didn't do this to my seat, but did it to a cousin, and said cousin got really petty at the next party and let out real farts. He said he ate a whole pack of fiber bars and had eggs for breakfast, and it was damn nasty. Other pranks included hiding eating utensils, a stink bomb, hiding some sort of monster thing in the toilet, cellophane in a doorway, ripping paper when somebody bends over, messing with drinks, hiding shoes, copying outfits, a container of foam packing peanuts above a doorway, and finally the one that really infuriated my aunt and uncle when a party was held at their house, a glitter bomb. They got the carpet professionally cleaned and billed the person who made the glitter bomb for it. So now pranks are just over. They don't want any more. I'm fine with that, but the last few family functions have been a bit dull. I think they were so used to how things were that they're now trying to find other ways to amuse themselves that don't involve cell phones. Jesus, just stop going there. Those people are insane and cruel. Pranks are for 4-year-olds who don't know any better, and stealing someone's seat will get you pummeled in a bar as an adult. So maybe don't teach that behavior to children. People need to learn that others will respond violently, and so they need to keep their noses to their own business. Someone sits in my chair and won't move, I flip the chair and smack them with it.